80s and 90s OVAs. There were a lot back then. Almost an endless amount of them, and to this day, I keep on discovering more. It's kind of like a hobby of mine to look for bizarre and weird OVAs from the 80s and 90s. Anyway, I usually prefer the short OVAs that spans less than 10 episodes because they feel like a movie to me, so I always watch them in one sitting. And just like a lot of anime I discovered back then, it was only by looking at the cover of the VHS or Laserdisc. I still do this today, by the way. Guess I like to be surprised. The OVA was released in Japan in 1995 and spans 4 episodes. Each is 30 minutes in length, so you can just watch it as a 2-hour movie. And it feels like it was made as a movie and then it was chopped into 4 episodes. The director for this OVA is Takeshi Mori, mostly known for making Vandred and Skullman, and I have to say, Ruin Explorers and Skullman are his best work in my opinion. Fun fact! The guy who wrote the manga, Kunihiko Tanaka, is the character designer for Xenogears, Xenosaga Episode 1, Xenoblade Chronicle X, and Pop Full Mail, my favorite Sega CD game. The story takes place in a fantasy world, where the land was filled with sorcery and magic that helped the world become a better place. The magic in this world is the typical magic you find in a fantasy anime, where magicians call on spirits to cast their magic. Then war broke out to fight over the power of that magic, and the result of this war is the destruction of these flourish civilizations. Generations have passed and the world is trying to rebuild what it has lost, and some people emerged called Ruin Explorers, which they specialize into finding the magic that was used during that civilization. The main story follows 2 Ruin Explorers, called Eri and Fam, and their quest to find a ruin called the Ultimate Power. They should have put more effort into that name. The story is nice, but nothing special for the genre in general, but as a fantasy anime it is quite enjoyable. The plot is well structured to a beginning, middle, and an end, and you don't feel like it is rushed nor slow paced, which is why I said it feels like a movie. If I have to say something bad about the plot, it's the main character Eri. I just felt like by the end of the OVA, she doesn't feel like the main character anymore. But other than that, the story is great and it is as traditional as a fantasy anime can get. And I have no problem with that. The main characters Eri and Fam. Eri is a warrior who can't use magic because she is cursed by her mean old teacher. So whenever she tries to do magic, she turns into a mouse. Fam is her airhead friend. She is a magician and can use magic, so she does what Eri can do, for the most part. The 2 characters work well together, they are funny when they are on screen, but when they are separated, they are not as fun and become very boring. So you can say that these 2 characters can't really work on their own. There are 4 side characters that accompany Eri and Fam in their journey, each with different powers and abilities. There are fine nice side characters, but nothing special. In spite of that, I have to say I love the character Galuf, the backstabbing merchant. He's such an asshole, I love him. He reminds me a lot of a guy I used to know back in high school. I wonder how he's doing right now. I love the art and character designs for this anime. It is as 90s as it gets, and to this day, I can never get bored of it. The look of the world is great with all the castles and ruins. The different facial expressions are all spot on and hilarious. Nothing new though, even for the time, but it's really nice. My favorite thing about this anime, the animation is splendid. The character animations are fluid most of the time. The action scenes are beautifully done and everything looks so colorful and polished. Generally to me, animation is not a major thing for loving an anime and I see it as a bonus. And this is a huge bonus. It makes up for the standard story and characters. I love the opening. I just love it. I know you don't hear it a lot that someone loves the opening of this anime, but every time I hear it I feel like I'm being transported back to the past in my bedroom with my tiny CRT TV watching anime and playing video games. Maybe because I love almost every opening performed by Rita Matsumoto. She did the awesome opening for Dirty Pair Flash 2, As for the ending song, couldn't care about it. The soundtrack, though, barely exists. It's mediocre and nothing memorable about it, and sometimes it's just lazy. If it wasn't for the great art and animation, this OVA would have been average at best. The characters and story are not bad by any means, they're just basic, but the great art and animation makes this OVA slightly above average. To sum it up in one sentence, this is basically a 90s fantasy anime that is short and fun.